At the end of the day, it's all about freedom.
Freedom has been tried for a very tiny portion of human history. What you would call any sense of freedom by anyone's definition of the word today. Most of human history has been conquest, domination, monarchy, war, famine. Go back and read anything, but it's just from the first 5,000 years of human history are rough. They're rough, and then we have these little experiments in freedom, and freedom has such an amazing track record compared to totalitarianism. We live in a country that was founded on the principles of classical liberalism, Western civilization, and the Enlightenment. The idea of restraining government is government being the forceful, what we institutionalize and allow force. The idea of restraining that force to not being aggressive is the spirit of the Constitution. There had never been a government in human history so shackled as the first American government that came in under the Constitution, the Articles of Confederation, or whatever, when the beginning of this country, wherever you want to start it. And the fact is that we became the most successful country ever by leaps and bounds. You wouldn't think it's a coincidence. Now, today, and this is what's so fascinating to me, this is why one of the clips in the opening is me talking about how America went from being the smallest government to the biggest government, because think about how fascinating it is that we were started as this experiment of restrained government, and if you were to say who is what is the most powerful government in the history of humanity today, there's no question that your answer would be the United States of America. By any true measure, our government is the biggest, most powerful government in the history of humanity. And how did that happen? Now, a lot of people will say, people who do believe in government, minarchists, will say, well, all this, Dave, you're saying we had this experiment in free markets and restrained government, and it created this huge, successful country. But that was with the government. That was with the government there. That wasn't in your world of anarchy. Now, my thing is, if you have this cancer that has dominated humanity throughout history, this cancer which is institutionalized aggression and violence known as government, and then we finally cut this cancer down to 5% of the cancer, right? And then the body started being healthier than it's ever been before, and then that cancer grew now because there was such a healthy body to feast on to being the largest cancer ever. To me, that doesn't prove that we did the right thing by keeping the 5% of the cancer. We should have cut this thing off altogether, and I think we might have gotten past this. To me, the largest, or at least one of the largest factors in pushing me into being an anarchist is that when you have government, you're always going to have an incentive for that government to grow. Because, of course, every organization has an incentive to grow. But in the market, they have to grow based on voluntarism, and in the government, they continue to grow based on force. The idea that you have a government and then that government is going to regulate the size of that government is goofy.